becoming a CRNA financially worth it? Well, in this video, we're going to talk all about it, so definitely keep watching. My name is Christine and welcome to a new video. I'm so excited you're here. If you want to become a CRNA or grow your CRNA career, definitely click the bell and subscribe so you don't miss anything. I am here to give you guidance, to give you as much information that I can share about becoming a CRNA, because I remember when I was going through the process, I didn't really have much support, in knowing the knowledge how to take the step to become a CRNA. So I am here to give you that knowledge. And thinking about financially, like we all think about that. Financially, is it a right move for me to become a CRNA? Is it a right move for me to become a nurse? I mean, in general, working in a healthcare field is amazing because there's a lot of job opportunities. There's a variety of skill sets you can develop, a lot of areas you can work. And so don't make finances be the biggest drawback, because when you're thinking of becoming a CRNA, it may take, depending on where you're at on your journey, it could take an upwards of 11 to 12 years, maybe 8 years, maybe just 3 to 4 years, depending on if you're ready to just go into school. Because now the programs to go ahead and be accepted into becoming a CRNA is doctoral. So it's about 3, 3.5, and depending on the school, it could be longer. When I was going to school, I got accepted into a master's program, which was about 2.5 years approximately. By 2025, you're going to be required to have a doctorate degree to work to be a CRNA. So just think about that when you're thinking about your journey and thinking about financial. Now, when I was in nursing school and when I graduated and I was working in the ICU, I took it as a priority to save as much as I can and try to be as debt-free as I can. So I had a budget. I thought about my needs and my wants. We all have our wants, and we should always treat ourselves, because you live once. But at the same time, if you're thinking about going back to school, especially thinking about going back to school for becoming a CRNA, it's going to be a long process, in the sense that you're going to need to work, literally, you're going to need to work full time. Like, to think about it too, when you are, going back to school to become a CRNA, if you are in a CRNA program, you're going to be required to pretty much work not work full time. And maybe depending on a program, you can work the first semester, but it's highly unlikely that you'll be able to, because it's very challenging, the program. So just think about that. Saving is very important. Also think about it too, when you do become a CRNA, you're going to be compensated very fairly. The average CRNA can be making upwards of, the average median salary is about $203,000 a year, upwards of $300,000 a year, depending on where you're working and depending on if you're doing travel CRNA, locums, working multiple jobs. That's something to think about, as well as you don't have to work. Also, there's a lot of flexibility in the job. You can work part-time, you can work full-time, you can have a second job. There's a variety in hours. You can do 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, 24-hour shifts. I used to work in OB anesthesia, and our shifts were 24 hours. So there were times where I would work 2 24 hours a week, or another week I could work 2 8-hour shifts and a 24-hour shifts. And a lot of people that I worked with, if they worked 2 24-hour shifts, a lot of people would pick up, maybe a third 24-hour shift, which is a lot, but some people can do that. Or they may pick up a couple of 8-hour shifts, since, they're only working 2 days a week. It depends on you and what you're looking for, but there's a lot of opportunities to grow, a lot of opportunities to make money, and as well as pay off any financial sacrifices you had to do when you were in school. The fun thing about becoming CRNA that's financially worth it to go through the process is there's so many different areas you can go into. There's constantly emails, constantly text message, constantly calls about job opportunities that I can work. For example, and many CRNAs have dealt with it. There's a huge shortage in nurses, huge shortage. So, especially CRNAs. So just think about that when you're thinking about becoming a CRNA. And the nice thing too is that with the variety of different areas is also a variety in skill sets. You can, of course, do general anesthesia. You can do peripheral nerve block, which is really awesome skill set to have. Invasive lines, central lines, depending on the area you're working at. Like I did epidurals and spinal anesthesia, as well as general and a variety of cases. A lot of opportunities to grow. So just think about that when you're thinking about becoming a CRNA. It can be very fun, and there's a lot of different areas you can go into that keeps it very interesting. Now, to get into financially, is it worth it? I just wanted to give you a little insight of the top couple of states that make a lot of money as CRNAs. Now, even though these states make the median annual average salary can be very high, you could be in a state that's outside of that and still make that much or higher. So it's just the average that we're looking at here. So some of the states are Connecticut, New Jersey, Illinois, and West Virginia. Connecticut, you could be making an upwards of $275,000 a year, and West Virginia, $247,000 a year, plus or minus. There's so many benefits to becoming a CRNA. Autonomy, critical thinking skills, working in a fast-paced environment, individualized patient care. So if you're doing surgery, for example, on a patient, it's one patient at a time. You're not, for example, when I was a nurse, working on the floor, I worked in the ICU, you can have 2 patients at a time. If you work on a step-down floor, you may have 4 patients at a time. Maybe if you work in a general unit, it could be 6 patients at a time. But if you are doing surgery, for example, taking care of a patient during your anesthetic course, it's one patient, one person at a time you're taking care of, okay? And you're managing them throughout the beginning to the end of their surgical experience. From meeting them in the pre-op area, we get to meet them for the first time, going through their records, going through any specialized testing that was done, and the comorbidities, lab work. You're meeting them in pre-op before surgery, and also asking questions about them to figure out the anesthetic plan. Then taking them to surgery, putting them to sleep, for example, if you're doing a general anesthetic, and making sure, you're keeping them safe and comfortable throughout their anesthetic course. Because I love what I do, and it's just exciting to take care of someone. And just make sure they're safe, make sure their energy, like there's so much loving energy surrounding them, because I'm so passionate about what I do. So, making sure they're safe and everything goes smoothly, and great communication with the surgeon, great communication with the nurses, all around energy, great communication with the anesthesiologist, depending on where you work. If you're working a team approach versus a supervision approach versus independent practice. Many CRNAs work independently, so it depends on where you're working, depending on the state. And then you're thinking about it when they're done with surgery, waking them up, for example, if they had a general anesthetic, and bringing them to recovery, making sure they're safe, making sure their vital signs are stable, and if there's any special medication you need to give to them, and then discharge depending on where you're working. So it's a nice movement when you're thinking about taking care of that one patient. It's really nice. When you do become a CRNA and you're working, and it's a lot of financial freedom, you have a very stable job, you have a great income, so it's very nice to think about that. When you do become a CRNA, you're guaranteed to get a job, in my opinion, and it's shown. You pretty much can work anywhere, and you have such financial stability that you don't have to worry financially, because you're making a good income. As long as you're managing yourself, budgeting, you'll do well off. So I hope this video helped you. So if you want to learn more how to become a CRNA or grow your CRNA career, definitely click on one of these videos over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.